सुप्रीम की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है या जो भगवान की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है,
Yeah.
ये कभी हमारे अनुभवों पे, it should never be based on our experiences, because experiences are bound to change. अगर कोई कहता अरे मैंने जब भी इनसे मांगा, जो भी मांगा, जितना मांगा सब कुछ मिला, अरे कल को मांगेंगे नहीं मिलेगा तो will our
Yeah.
understanding be different? No, it shouldn't be that way. And therefore, our concepts should be based on proper knowledge.
So,
Yeah.
before we start this episode, there are gonna be a lot of questions about Bhagavad Gita, about Lord Krishna. So,
Yeah.
just to give a gist of what Bhagavad Gita is to the audience, can you explain what is Bhagavad Gita for you?
Essentially, Bhagavad Gita is a book that helps us clarify the purpose of our existence, something that many people keep wondering. And most of us in India, we have heard about the Mahabharata, we have heard about the great battle between the Kauravas and the Pandavas, how
Correct.
Arjun got confused right at the onset of the battle. And typically, when we look at the Bhagavad Gita, it's more than, it's not a religious text. It's something that has solutions to, problems that people all over the world in all different contexts they face. And I'm talking about, the despondency, the kind of confusion that Arjuna was into, and the kind of solutions that he was given. How Arjuna kind of got reinstated in his duties. So that is something I understand that's what Bhagavad Gita helps us in, coming out of our confusions that we have in our lives, coming out of the blurred situations, if there's a lack of clarity in our purpose, how should we be acting, in the best possible manner and with utmost determination to achieve our goals. I guess, Bhagavad Gita has got a lot to do in helping us, become very focused in our duties. So that's how I look at Bhagavad Gita. And definitely, Bhagavad Gita, there's a very progressive understanding that Arjuna is presented with. How Arjuna is he's trained in different subject matters. Essentially, it is said that Bhagavad Gita discusses about 5 topics. Five specific topics are discussed in the Gita. The very first topic that's discussed is the identity of the self. हमारी पहचान क्या है, over and above जो हमारे designations है, because all of these designations that we have, जो whether it's our nationality, it's our profession, it's our relationships, all of these designations are very much subject to change. बदलते रहते हैं. मैं आज इंडिया में हूँ, if someone goes to the West, takes up a green card in the US, he becomes a US national. So many times these designations, they keep on changing. But then as a person, the person very much remains the same. So Gita helps us understand, how this person is something, that is different from the body. The body is like an external covering, and the soul or the Atma is the actual, the living entity, as they say. So that's the very first thing that gets discussed in the Gita, right in the second chapter of the Gita. Thereafter, there is the understanding of the Supreme. वो भी हम देखते हैं, भारत में और say all over the world, there is so much of talk that's going on in the name of Supreme. Bhagwan कौन है, or whether A is big or B is big. There's a lot of discussion, and typically what happens is, कि हम जहाँ पे, where we are born and brought up, and the kind of understandings that prevail in those existing circumstances, we tend to consider them as the supreme. I don't know if we have time. I would like to share maybe something later. Maybe
you can share it.
Okay, so I'll just share a very small story which I keep
Yeah, sure.
telling the college students whenever I meet these college students.
हाय, मैं आपका ज्यादा समय नहीं लूंगा. नीचे एक सब्सक्राइब बटन दिख रहा है, उस पर क्लिक कर दो और फिर उसके बाजू में एक लाइक बटन होगा, उस पर भी क्लिक कर दो, क्योंकि ये कॉन्वर्सेशन बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है. और अगर आप सब्सक्राइब और लाइक नहीं करोगे तो ये वीडियो ज्यादा लोगों तक नहीं पहुंचेगा. तो प्लीज ये सब कर दो और एंजॉय द कॉन्वर्सेशन.
कि जैसे आई एम फ्रॉम मुंबई, सो मुंबई में द गणपति सेलिब्रेशन, द
या,
in September they celebrate this
करेक्ट.
uh, festival of Lord Ganesha. So that's a big thing. So take for example, there is a small kid, in the uh, by lanes of Mumbai, and all through his growing up, he has been enjoying this
राइट.
Ganpati festival, and he has been, hearing those drum beats. So, all through his life, he has been dancing in that
करेक्ट.
Visarjan, and he has been feeling, he has been offering fervent prayers to Lord Ganesha, and sure enough, his prayers are being answered also. And that's how, all of his school days and everything goes ahead. But then, say, for example, he passes out of his college and he gets a job. But then for job, he has to move to, say, Kolkata, for example. And then Kolkata, he goes and, again, he gets his offer letter in June or July, joins in July, and then, July jata hai, August jata hai, or September ka mahina aata hai. And then that again, he's missing his Ganpati. He's very much remembering, Kyare Ganesh Chaturthi aa gayi hai. Where are those sweets? Where is the modak? Where is the drum beats and everything? And he's just lying in his room in Kolkata, and the whole month of September passes by, and he's
Right.
really missing the entire thing. And then the month of October comes in, and one fine day he hears those same drum beats outside his window. And he gets excited. My God, लगता है यहाँ पे थोड़ा, there's a time gap or
Yeah.
something. And then he hears the same, fervor and the same celebration and dancing and everything. And he peeps out of his window and he sees, to his uttermost surprise, that the personality is not a male here. It's a
Yeah.
female. And all of his, what I mean to convey is all of his conceptions, all of his understandings, all of his concepts about who could be the supreme, and who could fulfill your desires, everything goes for a toss essentially. So he ends up in a confusion. So many times, similarly, we see that typically हम जहाँ पे पलते हैं बढ़ते हैं, हमारे मन में ये जो ईश्वर की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है, जो भगवान की अंडरस्टैंडिंग is very much limited. We are born in India, so we talk about
Right.
Hinduism, we talk about Krishna, Ram, Shiva,
Correct.
Hanuman, and all of them. And someone who is born in the West, they talk about Jesus, they talk about maybe Muhammad and things like. So does everything have a common ground? How is it all structured? Does everything can everything fit in one
Correct.
jigsaw puzzle? We may see different pieces of the puzzle scattered here and there, but
Correct.
then what's the final picture? So that final picture is presented in the Gita, the second topic that we were mentioning. The very first was about the living being, the Jiva. The second was about the Ishvara, about the Supreme, the opulences of the Supreme, the qualities of the Supreme. And the third thing that gets discussed is about the place that we are in. जिसे हिंदी या संस्कृत में प्रकृति कहते हैं.
Correct.
About the material nature, the environment that all of us are in. Because why is it important to know? Just like, I'll give you a simple example. If you travel to, say, America, in India, we keep to the left, but in the West, they keep to the right. So
Right.
whenever we are present in different land, it's our responsibility to know the laws of the land. If we don't know the laws of the land and we behave the way we want to, we'll be held responsible. So similarly, we are here in this world, and we find that the world has the creation has amazing variety, the creation has amazing beauty in it, and at the same time, the creation also has laws. The creation also has certain laws that we need to be aware of, and we need to follow them, lest we'll be held responsible. So that's the
Correct.
third thing, that understanding of the material nature, understanding of the prakriti, the place that all of us are in, the nature of that place, and why this place many a times doesn't cooperate with our desires to be perennially happy. So that's the
Hmm.
third thing that gets discussed. The fourth thing that gets discussed in the Gita is about Kala, or time factor. How time
Yeah.
factor is something that's very, very powerful in this world, brings even big personalities and dynasties
Correct.
to a standstill. And how practically everyone is being ruled by this time factor. So
Yeah.
that Kala is discussed as the fourth thing that gets discussed. And last, the fifth thing is about karma, about our activities.
Hmm.
How we need to know about our activities, and what is that perfect activity that will fetch us everlasting happiness. Because
Correct.
happiness, talking about bliss, this is something that everyone, irrespective of whether you're in India or in China or in Japan or in
Yeah.
Europe or Australia, wherever you may be, happiness is something that everyone keeps looking for. So how do we act in a way that we remain perennially happy, and we get into a state of bliss.
Yeah.
Many times happiness is understood as absence of misery, कि अगर मुझे कोविड नहीं हुआ तो मैं खुश हूँ, कभी ऐसा लगता है.
Yeah.
But then talking about happiness, talking about bliss, talking about ecstasy, it's a very positive sense of experience. And how do we behave, how do we act in this world, so that we get on to that state. I think
Right.
that's what essentially Gita helps us in. And these topics, like I mentioned earlier, these topics are not just applicable or not just relevant to the people of India or
Correct.
the followers of Hinduism. These are something that's like applicable for everyone.
Hmm.
Just like when the government comes out with a vaccine, so
Yeah.
because the disease is present in everyone, everyone has got this, or is at the risk of getting the disease.
Right.
So the same vaccine helps everyone, irrespective of your background, irrespective of your upbringing or your status, or things like that. I
Yeah,
hope
makes
I
sense.
didn't give a very lengthy answer to your question.
But
What's
no,
Gita all
no,
about?
that was perfect. And for a podcast, we need such detailed answers because this is the only
Okay.
opportunity that a lot of people get to understand from people like you. Ki actual mein what is Bhagavad Gita, what is spirituality. I really want to know ki who is a monk, because a lot of people have this एक set उनके दिमाग में idea है of a monk की peaceful है, kindness है. These are the things which we connect as a outside perspective. So who is a monk, like, and how do you become a monk?
Okay. So again, the two parts of a question, and
Yeah.
we'll take it one by one.
Yeah.
Definitely in India, we see all around, and we find there's a big market of spirituality. Correct me if I'm
Yeah.
wrong, but then
No.
we find that there is so much happening in the name of monkhood. There is
Hmm.
so much happening in the name of sainthood,
Correct.
and like it is said that everything that glitters is not gold. Correct. Everything that
100%.
shines is not gold, but
Yeah.
that doesn't mean that there is no existence of real gold, right? And
Hmm.
therefore, for a person, I'll give you a simple example.
Yeah.
When you go to the market, when you go to the supermarket or anything,
Yeah.
so there are these jewelry shops. You've seen, there are the small little jewelry shops, and a number of them, and
Correct.
they're really selling at a very, very cheap cost. They're giving at a very low price, and
Yeah.
it's like flocked by people. I mean, it's like people are thronging at those small little
Right.
jewelry shops, और इतने सारे ऐसे वहाँ पे ये भी है, ये भी देखिए, वो भी देखिए, and a
Correct.
lot of people there. Now in the same market, there could be a big say Tribhuvan Das Zaveri shop, a
Hmm.
three-storied diamond is forever, ऐसा बड़ा बड़ा लिखा हुआ
Yeah.
है, ऊपर में, and you know, lots of lights and lots of security, and you know, people, nicely dressed up people inside, and then to
Yeah.
your surprise you will find just a couple of people inside.
Correct.
And you may
Absolutely.
wonder, यार ये छोटे छोटे दुकानों पर इतनी भीड़ क्यों है, और
Yeah.
ये इतना अच्छा दुकान है, इतनी बड़ी दुकान है, और लोग इसके अंदर जा ही नहीं रहे, ऐसा क्यों है? Now the answer is pretty much evident, because the very first thing is, the stuff that's getting sold, and those small little shops, first of all, it's not a genuine thing, you know.
Yeah.
And because it's not genuine, the price is very low, or you know, people, and therefore, you know, everyone wants things at a very, very cheap price. One doesn't want to you know, really spend to get the actual thing.
Correct.
And only those people, you know, only those people who are desiring for the genuine stuff, now mark
Yeah.
my words, who are desiring for the genuine stuff, and who are willing to pay the price to get hold of the genuine stuff, only those people, they look out for that TVZ shop, you know. They look out for कि ठीक है मुझे, you know, where will I get actual gold? And therefore,
Right.
any person who is desiring the correct stuff, who is desiring the genuine you know, quality product, you know, such a person needs to know what are the characteristics of true gold. How do I test
Yeah.
true gold? You know, I can't just go by the glitter and glamour. I just can't go by the
Correct.
number of, you know, lamps that are present in the shop. So similarly, talking about spirituality, talking about, you know, monkhood, talking about spiritual knowledge, we should
Yeah.
be clear about one thing. And if we are just clear about this one thing, that, you know, come what may, you know, it's my desire to know the right stuff, whatever time it
Right.
takes and whatever endeavor it may take. You know, I'm willing to pay the price for it, whatever austerities might be required, or whatever, you know, sacrifices might be required, and
Yeah.
whatever you know, time might be required to understand the real stuff. So that, क्योंकि क्योंकि जब तक हमारे पास एक प्रॉपर लिटमस पेपर नहीं रहता है, हम उसको सॉल्यूशन में डाल के वी कांट एक्सपीरियंस, यू नो। आप एक
Correct.
सिंपल न्यूज़पेपर को लेकर आप एक एसिड में डालोगे तो वो रेड नहीं होएगा, आप उसको
Right.
एक कैलकली में डालोगे तो वो ब्लू नहीं होएगा। यू नो, यू नीड
Yeah.
टू गेट द राइट लिटमस. So what is
Yeah.
that right litmus? How do we understand the right you know, stuff? And that's what essentially, you know, my understanding of monkhood is all about. That although there's a lot of you know, people, I'm not saying that you know, only people who have the understanding or the kind of
Yeah.
understanding that I possess. No, there might be a lot of genuine people, which definitely there are. But then along with a lot of genuine people, there is a lot of you know, American diamonds also in the market, which is
Yeah.
not the quality product, and
Correct.
therefore we should be very much be careful, and we should be very much be careful. And at the same time, talking about monkhood again, you know, myself, I had this kind of a desire that you know, so much India is a big place. I mean,
Yeah.
the USP of the country is spirituality. India might be known for its IT professionals all over the
Yeah.
world, but then that's not the real USP of India. The real the unique selling proposition that they call the USP of India is its spiritual heritage, the spiritual
Correct.
knowledge that is present in the country, and that's the exact reason why this country has seen seekers from all over the world, you know, coming to India. Currently, I'm at Rishikesh, and Rishikesh is like the spiritual capital in one
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
It's known as the spiritual capital of India, and we find people from all different parts of the world just coming
Yeah.
to India, flocking to India to understand, you know, what's it all about? Why is it that,
Yeah.
you know, this land has seen so many great saints, so many exalted people.
Yeah.
So yes, that's essentially my understanding of monkhood. Coming back, we may थोड़ा हम बोलते बोलते, you know, we may got
No
tend
issues.
to
No
go
issues.
astray, but then it's शाम का भूल नहीं, सवेरे का भूला अगर शाम को घर आ जाता है तो उसे भूल नहीं कहते.
Correct.
So yes, yeah, talking about, you know, my understanding of monkhood is that just like in a society, there are different people who are needed. The society needs engineers, the society needs doctors, the
Right.
society needs medical men, the society needs policemen,
Correct.
and the society needs maybe lawyers also, because there's a need. So similarly, the society also needs teachers. And just
Yeah.
like in a university, in a school or college, there are teachers for all different faculties. Someone who has understood the science of physics and who can
Correct.
teach that science of physics to others. Someone who has
Right.
understood the science of mathematics or chemistry, biology, and who has uh, got that experience of actually internalizing what he has studied,
Yeah.
and then sharing it with others. So that's what essentially my understanding of monkhood is all about. Is
Yeah.
that very first thing, that there is a need for some people in the society. I'm not saying everyone, but then the society definitely needs some people who take time off from their regular course of duties of a job, of
Right.
family, take their time off, excuse themselves from these responsibilities, and use that time to go deeper into the spiritual understanding for which this great country is known for.
Correct.
And actually experiment with the truth, experiment with what you have been studying. And
Right.
then you find that, yes, whatever I have been studying, it makes sense. अगर अगर मैंने पढ़ा अगर मैंने पढ़ा कि व्हेन यू मिक्स HCl एंड NaOH, हाइड्रोक्लोरिक
Yeah.
एसिड और सोडियम हाइड्रोक्साइड को आप मिक्स करोगे, तो यू विल गेट सॉल्ट एंड वाटर. आपको
Yeah.
NaCl और H2O मिला. तो there is a theoretical study of the thing which we do in the classroom, and then we walk into the laboratory. We
Right.
get into the laboratory, and we perform the actual test.
Correct.
We execute what we have studied, and we see it for truth. Yes, whatever I had studied, this is the way it is. And that's how we also help others understand. So yes, monkhood is not just about being selfish and just
Yes.
being focused on for your benefit. No, monkhood,
Yeah.
a very very strong portion of monkhood is to train yourself in such a way to help those who are falling short of time, whose responsibilities don't allow them to dig deeper into the scriptures, whose
Correct.
responsibilities, the worldly responsibilities, they don't allow. They're so that there's just no time available, है ना? There's not just so much of time
Yeah.
available that you get the you go through everything, and you get to the essence, and you practice nahi. And
Right.
therefore, just like again quoting the example of a vaccine, we may be aware of the disease, we may be talking about our problems. अरे जीवन में ये समस्या है, वो समस्या है, क्या करे, डिप्रेशन है, एंजाइटी है, ये समस्या, वो समस्या है. And then there is the maybe the Bharat Biotech or the Serum Institute of India. Those guys, they are doing the actual research, and they are coming up with this
Correct.
vaccine. This is the medicine. You don't need to do the research. You don't need to get into the lab. You don't need
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
spend a lot of time finding it all. This
Yeah.
is what is going to be beneficial for you. आप सिर्फ इसका 2 shot लो, and your problem
Yeah.
is gonna come to an end. So similarly, that's the responsibility, that's the purpose of monkhood, and
Yeah.
and with that purpose in mind, I kind of took the step that definitely there are a lot of people who are going on good, and so it was not because of some despondency or some
Yeah.
experiencing some failures in life. अरे करने के लिए कुछ अच्छा, अरे नहीं यार, I was drawing a pretty handsome salary myself,
Yeah.
and I had a lot of friends and a very exciting future and everything. But then sometimes you need to think over and above yourself as well. You need to think about how you can use your time
Correct.
that's available to you, how you can use your energies that are available
Right.
for helping the world at large. And I guess I feel myself very very fortunate to be here at your show today, so that whatever I've learned, you're providing this opportunity to just share it with your audience. And I don't know how much of it makes sense, but then even if some of it makes sense, I'll consider my decision to be pretty much worthwhile.
You were talking about ki Hinduism mein there's one entity, like you can call it Vishnu, Shiva, Krishna, or any, like whoever you pray to. Then there's supreme entity, right? And then there's Jesus, there's Muhammad. So what is God exactly, and what is God exactly for you?
Oh, that's $1 million question, I must say, Jayesh. I doubt if I'll be able to put everything together in the short time that we have. But essentially, yes, this is a big subject of inquiry, a big subject of on which people all over the world, they wonder, and again, seeing the variety, they kind of are wondering, what is it all about? Who exactly is the supreme? Again, talking about different cultures, it appears that itne sare hain, ek hai, anek hai, kya hai, kaun hai. So I'll once again I'll share a small anecdote, a story which clarifies this whole thing. And this is about a Gujarati gentleman. And before I speak this up, let me put up a disclaimer that all characters in this narration are completely fictitious. Any resemblance to any person living or dead is completely coincidental. So with that in mind, let's pick up a person from Ahmedabad, Mr. Bhavesh Patel. In Gujarati, they don't have Bhavesh. They don't have Bhavesh. Mark my words. They have Bhavesh. Mr. Bhavesh Patel. So again, it's not to make fun of. I know many of my Gujarati friends. They are very, very excellent people. But just on a lighter side. So this gentleman, Mr. Bhavesh Patel, he gets on-site visit by his company. He goes to Brazil, and his business counterpart in Brazil, Mr. Paulo. Mr. Paulo, Mr. Paulo उनको रिसीव करने आते हैं, और दोनों के मीटिंग्स होते हैं, और काफी सब बिजनेस एंगेजमेंट्स होने के बाद में Paulo gives him a proposal that in Brazil we have this soccer match tonight. Why don't you come with me and enjoy the soccer match? Abhi in India, try to understand, in Gujarat, or soccer is not so much kind of it's a very popular kind of sport. But then in Brazil, that's how it is. So जाते हैं Mr. Bhavesh Patel वहाँ पे वो soccer match में, football match में, और kind of वो थोड़ा पक जाते हैं बम्बई की भाषा में. He gets kind of a little bored, but nonetheless he understands कि ठीक है यार, अभी क्या business perspective है. And then he comes back. And a few months later, Mr. Paulo gets his India visit, and he comes to Mumbai, and Mr. Bhavesh, he comes all the way from Ahmedabad to Mumbai just to welcome him. And once again, they kind of have this get together, and they have their meetings and stuff. And Mr. Bhavesh remembers that, this guy had, taken me for a soccer match. And he gives a counter proposition that, what, in India, we have this game of cricket. And in Mumbai, we have this big Wankhede stadium, and tonight we have this big international match of cricket that's going to happen. So why don't you come with me and enjoy this? And pretty much sure Paulo makes sense of it all. He fits the pieces of the puzzle together, and he says, "Abhi to karna padega. There's no escaping out from here." And he accompanies, although he's kind of wondering, what would crickets play? Because for him, cricket is just like an insect. He might not have even heard of, cricket as a game. But then he goes to the field, and now why we are discussing this story is important. What does Paulo see here? What Paulo sees here, he sees, first of all, there are 11 people who walk into the field barehanded, and just kind of jogging, and they take their different
Yeah.
positions all over the field. And he says, "Sorry, is pretty much similar to soccer." But then he sees two two fully dressed up people,
Correct.
with their helmets and with pads and gloves and all sorts of fully equipped.
Yeah.
These two people, they just walk in, and he finds that यहाँ तो गोल पोस्ट फील्ड के बीच में लगा के रखा है. फुटबॉल में तो गोल पोस्ट फील्ड के एंड में
Yeah.
रहता है, लेकिन वो उनको लगा ठीक है चलो अलग गेम है तो मे बी. But then he sees कि only two people have been given the accessories, and he feels this is injustice. This
Correct.
is not fair. Everyone should have been given the proper
Yeah.
stuff. So and then he again sees two people. One of them is properly dressed up, just like the two guys before,
Yeah.
and the other fellow, he just has a coat and a hat, and
Yeah.
the other person, he fully dressed up, he's in a stand ekdam aisa attentive pose behind one of
Yeah.
the goalposts, and the other person, he is in a stand at ease with his hands
Yeah.
behind his back, and he's like really confused. Paulo is really confused. What's happening here? What's
Correct.
happening here? Doesn't nothing is making sense to him. And then the game begins.
Hmm.
And then he sees इधर तो फुटबॉल का साइज थोड़ा छोटा है. So anyway, that he is able to accept. Now this ball that's being thrown is like a danger. It's like a danger to the person to whom this
Correct.
ball is being thrown. And typically, how do you deal with danger? There are two ways in which you deal with a danger. Either you run away from danger, or you actually, face it and boldly you kind of deal with it. Now, to his uttermost surprise, he sees that this person, with his weapon that he has in his hand, he deals with the danger, and then he is running frantically between the posts,
Yeah.
and that makes him crazy. That makes him, completely, he goes nuts. That what's this happening?
Correct.
And while Paulo is utterly confused, while Paulo is utterly bewildered, the rest of the stadium, what are they doing? They are clapping. They're enjoying the show.
Yeah.
Now, my question to you is, why so? Why so? Why is it that Paulo is completely bewildered and confused, and why is it that the entire stadium is really having a very, very good time? Is really having a very exhilarating
Yeah.
experience? The reason is because those people in the stadium, they know the different
Right.
roles and responsibilities of the players on the field.
Right.
Who is a batsman, who is a wicket keeper, who is a umpire, and who are the fielders, who is the bowler. Because there's a proper understanding of the roles and responsibilities of the different personalities in the field, and the people also know how the game progresses.
Correct.
If there is a cognizance of these two things, cognizance of the positions of the different people who are out there, and cognizance
Yeah.
of how the whole thing goes about, that's when you enjoy the game. When you don't know about these two things, that's when you are kind of completely confused. Now,
Correct.
coming back to our question, we may see a lot of personalities who are involved in this game. Is the game of universal management, the game of helping people who may not be capable themselves to serve themselves in the best manner.
Yeah.
And we see a lot of these personalities. हम देखते हैं हनुमान जी हैं, राम जी हैं, Krishna ji हैं,
Yeah.
Shiva is there, Brahma ji is there, Lakshmi ji. Not just the male, the female
Correct.
part is also very much there.
Prominent. Yeah.
And of course, yes, Jesus is there, Muhammad is there. How do you understand it all? So the understanding is that just like in a company, there is a hierarchy in which the company is being managed. or in the management of a country, there is a particular hierarchy. There is the prime minister, and
Yeah.
then to assist the prime minister, there are the cabinet ministers. Then there is the state cabinet. There are the state ministers that are there, and then there is the
Yeah.
police department. So
Correct.
so there is a whole system that is in place. And when we are aware of the system, okay, who is the home minister, who is the finance minister, who is the
Yeah.
defense minister, and who is the prime minister, when you are aware of the different roles of these people, you don't get confused. You treat them in the manner that they deserve to be treated. You don't
Right.
treat a police inspector the same way you treat the prime minister.
Correct.
Both deserve a different type of treatment and a different type of understanding. So yes, essentially, similarly in universal management, there is a hierarchy. There are different responsibilities that many people are carrying out.
Yeah.
And when we understand this hierarchy, when we understand about these responsibilities, that's when we are able to appreciate this entire game. And talking about the supreme, who is the supreme,
Yeah.
I typically give, again, this is not something based on your experience.
Correct.
जो सुप्रीम की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है या जो भगवान की अंडरस्टैंडिंग है,
Yeah.
ये कभी हमारे अनुभवों पे, it should never be based on our experiences, because experiences are bound to change. अगर कोई कहता है अरे मैंने जब भी इनसे मांगा, जो भी मांगा, जितना मांगा, सब कुछ मिला, अरे कल को मांगेंगे नहीं मिलेगा तो will our
Yeah.
understanding be different? No, it shouldn't be that way. And therefore, our concepts should be based on proper knowledge, proper
Right.
understanding. So talking about the supreme, talking about this Bhagavan, what is this Bhagavan? Bhagavan, like we know what is a Balwan. What is a Balwan? Someone who has Bala.
Powerful. Yeah.
What is who is a Dhanvan? Someone who has Dhana. Who is a
Correct.
Bhagyavan? A Bhagyavan is someone who has been blessed by good fortune. He is a Bhagyavan. Similarly, who is a Bhagavan? So that is explained in the Shastras, that's explained in the scriptures, that a Bhagavan is someone who has 6 types of opulences. Bhaga means Aishwarya or opulences. So there are 6 types of opulences that are described. Someone who has these 6 opulences. These 6 opulences are the opulences. Of course, there is a whole verse to it, and the
Yeah.
whole
Yeah.
reference and everything. I'm not just speaking out of just my concocted ideas or something. There are proper scriptural references to it. So these 6 opulences are the opulence of strength, the opulence of wealth, the opulence of knowledge, the opulence of beauty, the opulence of fame, and the
Right.
opulence of detachment. I'll repeat: the opulence of strength, wealth, beauty, knowledge, fame, and detachment. Someone who has these opulences in unlimited quantities. And these opulences, it's not that, it was acquired at a point of time and it will
Yeah.
be there at a point of time, which we find in the world here. इस दुनिया में हम देखते हैं, there are so many beautiful people, but then maybe they were not beautiful, say 30 years back, and they won't definitely be beautiful again 30 years later.
Yeah.
Similarly,
Makes sense.
talking about the opulence of wealth, someone might be very, very wealthy currently, but then, maybe not 40 years back, maybe not
Right.
again 20 years later. So these opulences are very much subject to change. But that personality who has these opulences in unlimited quantity, for unlimited time, and and such a person can be referred to as Bhagavan. Now, this Bhagavan, and this is like the supreme, and to assist him, then there are other personalities that are also in place, and there are he has his own expansions, he has his representatives, and he has his empowered people, just like the prime minister may empower a particular district collector कि ठीक है आप अपने district में you may implement this rules, आप अपने city में इतना lockdown रख सकते हो, maybe till 30th of July you can keep. So that empowerment is received by higher orders. So similarly,
Right.
there are people there are empowered personalities, and talking about Jesus Christ, talking about Muhammad, they were definitely very, very empowered personalities. And in his own words, Jesus said that, I'm the Son of God, and I've been sent here for a purpose to help all of you. So that way. So yes, there is the Supreme, and then there are the representatives of the Supreme, and how we understand this entire picture, how we are able to make sense of how the entire universal administration is going ahead. I think that's how we put things into perspective. That's how we connect the dots, and we actually enjoy the game when we know this whole affair. Of course, like I mentioned to you, I mean, there's a lot to it, and
it's a
I mean,
separate
it's
podcast
just not
altogether.
exactly. It
Yeah,
may not be possible to just
yeah,
pull together everything about the Supreme in a 15-minute time. Definitely,
correct.
very much impossible. But just in a gist, that's what it's about.
Before
Yeah.
we end this podcast, I there's this one particular question which my audience has is कि अब जो
Okay.
मेरी audience है, it is in between the age of like 20 to 30, and उसमें
Okay.
बहुत सारे लोग हैं who are into spirituality and they want to start reading, understanding Bhagavad Gita. So how can they do that?
Correct.
And if you can suggest them, which version of Bhagavad Gita they should read, that would be great.
Yeah, that's also a very pertinent question. That
Yeah,
just like when if we want to learn physics, we don't just pick up any book from the
yeah,
bookshelf and go ahead with it. We look out
yeah,
for the right authors. We look out for the right pieces of literature. Like I remember in my school days, we knew कि अरे physics मतलब there was a textbook by Dr. H.C. Verma
yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
IIT Kanpur, I guess. So I mean, all of us, most of us have gone through this. H.C. Verma, उनकी जो आपने अगर
Correct.
ये book पढ़ा है ना, this will really clarify your concepts. Or maybe if you want to know even more, तो फिर there was this Resnick Halliday and
Yeah,
this Irodov. I don't know if you remember those Irodov.
yeah,
कितने
yeah, I do.
Irodov solve किया क्या? Yeah, someone who has solved Irodov is like really considered. Hey,
Yeah.
you got it, man. That sort of a thing. So similarly, yes, currently there are so many people who want to explain the Gita.
Hmm.
And when we typically explain, when anyone starts to explain the Gita on their own, based on what they think is the
Hmm.
meaning of Gita, now
Yeah.
we are not going to benefit from the thoughts and understandings of some person. What Gita
Makes
is
sense. Yeah.
all about, Gita is all about surrender. It was
Hmm.
not up until Arjuna surrendered unto Krishna that he
Yeah.
was blessed with that knowledge. So similarly, unless and until we understand the purports of the Gita, we understand the meaning of the Gita from a surrendered person, from a person who knows the position of the Supreme,
Yeah.
from a person who knows what's our relationship with the Supreme, and from a person who or from persons, let me say, not just one single
Yeah.
person, from persons who know how to re-establish that lost relationship with the Supreme. Because
Hmm.
many times we feel कि अरे यार भगवान तो it's a different concept, or do I have to do anything in that regard, and does he have any role to play in my life?
Right.
Is there a relationship? Is there a connect? And how do I benefit from that connect
Yeah.
if I spend my time in endeavor in that regard? How am I going to benefit in that sense? So yes, when we approach and we understand the Gita from the right sources, that is very,
Yeah.
very important. Not from people who are speculating on the meaning of the Gita, not
Correct.
from those commentaries, not from those explanations that are just a result of the so to say a mental understanding. What I
Hmm.
feel about the Gita, we are not here to benefit from someone else's feelings. We
Right.
want the message of the Gita as it is. The
Hmm.
message, the benefit that Arjuna derived, even I want to derive the same benefit.
Right.
Hash, me too. right?
Yeah.
So similarly, yes, we too are in a Me Too movement, but in the
Correct.
right sense.
Yeah.
So yes, now personally, I have been studying the version of Gita that was uh, translated, and that was the purports to the verses was given by a very very renowned personality. His name is His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami
Yeah.
Prabhupada, who is the founder of the ISCON movement, the Hare Krishna
Correct.
movement, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. And he himself was a very very ardent practitioner of spirituality. And just to mention shortly, at the ripe age of 70 years old, he with that intense desire of sharing this knowledge of the Gita with the world at large, he traveled the entire world 14 times in the next 12
Wow.
years, and sharing this message of the Gita to anyone and everyone. And because, like we were mentioning earlier, because the problem is all prevalent, it's present everywhere, all
Correct.
prevalent. And therefore, the solution, when you present the solution and people apply the solution, they get the result out of it. So
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
proof, like they say in English, the proof of the pudding is in its eating. है ना?
Yeah.
You may describe what a pudding might taste like. ऐसा ऐसा रहना चाहिए, और पुडिंग में
Correct.
चेरी रहना चाहिए, and it should have all those raisins and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But then I would say, man, let's get together and let's actually get hold and experience that pudding. That's how we'll relish. So
Yeah.
similarly, how this version of the Gita that was penned down by him, really is something that has helped people for the last 50 years in all
Yeah.
different geographies all over the world. And how people in all different parts of the world, the Gita has been translated into more than 80 languages currently.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
if you come if you come to our temple in downtown Mumbai,
Yeah.
in South Mumbai, we have these different versions of the Gita in different languages, in German,
Correct.
French, Indian languages. So all these different, we have copies and a nice bookshelf, a
Yeah.
nice showcase. We have put it. I would personally like to invite you to come over sometime and
I'll definitely
have a
come.
look
Yeah.
at it. Yeah, and so that's what I personally have been studying last 15 years or so, and
Yeah.
and I can speak about my experience, and I can speak about the experience of many people I know, many students whom I have been guiding for the last 12 years, many corporate people even who have found their answers, who have
Yeah.
found the right understanding. Because kaisa hai na, see, you can't fool an intelligent man.
Correct.
If someone is really intelligent, there are questions. Only a
Yeah.
blind follower would just hear and अरे बहुत अच्छा लगा,
Absolutely. Yeah.
आपने क्या सुना, अरे प्रवचन इतना अच्छा लगा, आपने क्या समझा, वो मत पूछो, सुनने में बड़ा अच्छा लगा. That's not the
Correct.
motive, that's not the purpose. The purpose
Mm.
is that when we hear something, we should have our questions, and when we get the correct understandings to our questions, that is
Yeah.
when we understand कि नहीं, बात में, जैसा हम कहते हैं ना, बात में पॉइंट है.
Yeah.
अगर बात में हमें पॉइंट लग रही है, so then it becomes our responsibility to take the next step, to know more, to learn more, and and,
Right.
and to embrace these gifts in a much bigger way, while carrying out our own responsibilities of a student, carrying out our own
Mm.
responsibilities of a householder maybe, or a business person, whatever it may be.
Correct.
So it's not required that in order to benefit from the teachings of the Gita, you need to be a monk like me. No, a monk is just a teacher, just like I mentioned earlier, just a
Yeah.
teacher who has learned it in a bit detail, and who is willing to share all of those to everyone. And therefore, the message of the Gita is for everyone. Arjuna was not a renunciant. He
Yeah.
was a recipient of the Bhagavad Gita. He was very much a hands-on person, a person who was expected to act on the
Correct.
battlefield. And we find that what was the transformation that Arjuna went through after hearing the Gita, the same despondency, the same, distress, the same kind of hopelessness that Arjuna was into, just after hearing the Gita, how he had his spirits uplifted and how he had a clear vision of how to act, how to understand his duties in a better light, and how to, perform with all of his might for the pleasure of the Supreme that way. So I guess that answers in some way your question.
Yeah. 100% it does. And one ending question, that is, and I ask this question to every guest who comes on this show. Are there any books that you would want our listeners or the people who are watching on YouTube to go and read?
Well, again, it depends a lot on the taste, and like we were discussing,
But
definitely
like
I would
your
recommend.
favorite books maybe.
Yeah, and just what I was referring to it, I would definitely recommend to get hold of a copy of the Bhagavad Gita as it is. If you look out on Amazon or Google, Bhagavad Gita as it is by Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. And give it a try. Give it a try. Just go through it. I mean, we keep on doing a lot of experiments, and we have different experiences. Why not give another try? And that's what essentially we are all here for. And it's the responsibility of any seeker to not stop trying. It is said that we fail the moment we stop trying, we stop looking, because the moment we come across the right gold, we understand कि नहीं ये ऐसे, when you tap it or when you test it, this is what is the exact thing. This makes sense. So when you hear a certain explanation, then your queries, they get a proper answers to your queries. I guess that's what helps you understand that what is good and what's not. Just like in Sanskrit, there is a saying, "Phalena parichayate." A tree is known by its fruits. If there's a mango tree, just by looking at the mango tree, you won't know whether the tree is in a healthy shape or not. But then, if there are very ripe and very tasty mangoes that are that's coming out of the tree, that's when we conclude that the tree is really nice. So similarly, when we also try to implement those understandings that we receive, and we find that those understandings are working for us, and time has been I should say that time has been a witness. The world all over has been a witness that how the teachings, how the understandings as presented by Prabhupada ji, they have actually benefited people all over the world. And to be very honest, let me put that I'm not saying because I am a Hare Krishna or because I am connected to it. It's an open call for experimenting. You also experiment, and I'm available to anyone and everyone who wants to have a dialogue, who wants to have their queries clarified. I'll be more than happy to reach out to anyone who wants to reach out to me, and maybe on my Instagram, or maybe catch me on Clubhouse the way you did. And this is the first time I'm doing a podcast out of Clubhouse in my anyways. But really, Jayesh, I must thank you for your brilliant questions and your beautiful your experiences that you shared, and the intense desire that you have to understand things and help people. And I don't know how much of what all I said would actually be beneficial for everyone, but then if it does, I would consider my time that we spent together to be worthwhile.
So, Chaitanya Lila Das Ji, thank you so much for coming on this show. This has been such a great conversation. I learned so much today. मतलब जितना बुक से मैंने नहीं सीखा है वो मैंने इस एक आर से ज्यादा के conversation में मैंने समझ लिया है.
Close to 2 hours, I guess.
Yeah, close to 2 hours. Yeah. So, thank you so much. I really loved this conversation.
Thank you so much once again for having me over, and looking forward to meet again. Okay,
100%,
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.